Well, earlier morning in Kansas. Gonna be a beautiful sunrise, I can already tell you that. Um, this video is actually kind of a disclaimer here on this next video. That's going to be, well, part of this, intro to this video. What you're about to see me do, actually working on this head on this Gen 4, lapping the valve and using a drill. I don't recommend that unless you just do not have a choice. Trying to get the car back on the road or whatever. But I'm just saying I wouldn't do this if I was you. So if you want to do it on your own and it works for you, great. If it don't, man, it's not my fault. It's just something that I have done over the years and not have any trouble with, but it's definitely not something for everybody. So please keep that in mind. I say that a couple of times during the video, but I want to say it off the bat. So if you see this happen, then you hurry up and jump out there in your garage and do it without listening to the rest of it. Please don't do this if you don't know what you're doing, and if the head needs other work. This isn't a fix-all. This is just a quick way to lap the valve without having to stand out there and use one of those little suction cups, or spend a bunch of money taking it to a shop. But I really recommend you do that. So on to the video. Okay, I brought you back for this. I did some on a Nissan 3-liter, but I never really finished the series because I really wasn't getting any views on it, so I quit. But I started pulling the valves out of this, and if you watched my 4.8 build, I did this with this too, and I kind of showed you, well, my head was in the way, some of it, but basically how to kind of take these apart. Right now I've still got that spring, in the deal facing away from me, obviously. Anyway, I was just changing the seals on it, the oil seal, oil guide seals, whatever you want to call them, and I pulled the second valve. The intake was good, and it's probably not going to focus on it without something in front of it. And the sun is coming in my window, which makes it even more difficult to see. So forgive my garbage camera work. Again, I don't know what it's actually focusing on. Well, you can see how rough that seat is. That shiny thing you see as I'm spinning around there, that's the seat of the exhaust valve on that cylinder. This is actually number, where am I at? That's number 8 actually. And so then looking at the seat in which it sits, there's a few pit marks in it. So instead of messing around, I'm just going to go ahead and grind it, lap it. I guess you want to call this more like it, not grind it. It's more like lapping. You're not going to see anything. So I'm just going to kind of explain it to you and show you how I do it. It may not be the right way. I do not suggest doing it this way. It's better to take a machine shop. But in this case, I'm just not going to do it. So I've done this. I've had pretty good success with it. I used to have a whole bunch of different kind of valve grinding compounds. I had that was pretty aggressive. Then I had a medium. Then I had a fine where I could really get a shine on them. And I used to work for safety valve shops, so you had to get those seats on the safety relief valves had to be really shiny. I mean, they had to be spotless and mirror finish. So I kind of did that on these, but I'm not near as what I used to be. But this is, I just got it. It's Permatex. It's a rebuilder's aid. It's what it's called. But it's valve grinding compound. I believe it's kind of coarse. I think I set it on there at one time, but I don't see it now. Doesn't make a difference. Basically, there's a tool that you can use. It suction cups onto these, and then after you put the compound on there, you basically spin it by hand back and forth, and that works on most valves. But this is rough. It's concave. If they're flat, they're pretty easy to do. This isn't that way, and I have found that doing that is kind of a pain for me. So basically what I do is I put a little compound on. Ooh, I said a little. Well, that's the story of my life, all or none. That's way more than I needed. You do not want to get this on the stem. On this part. You don't want it on that. You only want it right there. Yeah, this thing had a little pressure behind it, so when I squeezed it, it broke the little top off. Well, it was all or none. Okay. And what I do is I'll start sliding it into, and you may not be able to see past me, But basically I'm putting the valve back in. Before I get it hardly in there at all though, you gotta make sure you don't get this on the seat, because this will take away from your valve, your compound. So what I do is I start that in there and I spray WD-40 in the valve guide the other direction. And what that's doing is that's lubricating that stem, because I cheat and I put a drill on it. I know you can't see. I'm going to try to turn it where you can see what I'm doing with the valve. You see it sticking out? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Let me see. I don't like hanging a drill from it. Let me step on some stuff here. Let me see what you're saying. Let me take it in just a bit. Alright, now what I'm going to do, you're not going to see this real well, but I'm going to go back and forth with this, and I'm going to keep pulling pressure against it, and you'll actually hear a sound change if you can hear it over the drill. I'm actually spin a little fast. I'm going to put it in number 2. I'm just putting pressure, pulling back on the drill and letting off while I continue to spin. Allow the compound to move around a little bit. Now this is probably, like I said, this isn't for everybody, and this isn't probably the way to do it. Man, I'm telling you what, I am kicking everything. Pull it back out a little bit. But you seen what I did there. It's not rocket science. I don't recommend this if you don't have an idea, really good idea what you're doing, but this is really not that hard to do. And I still need to do it more, but it does show you. I'm going to show you here in a second. I'm trying to do this where you can. You can still see the marks in that. That thing is pretty chewed up. So you can see this absolutely needed done. The intake valve looked great. So the exhaust valve had some debris go through it. And it is beat pretty good. I think you can see those. So that gray area right there I'm spinning around, that's what you're looking at. And you can see how pitted that is. So I'm going to have to do this more. Let me see what the seat itself looks like. Like I said, this is something that you probably ought to take to a machine shop and have them grind them proper, but I've had decent luck with this, as long as the guides ain't bad. I've had pretty good luck with this. Make sure though, you lube this just before you spin it. You don't want to eat your guide up, so make sure, like I said, you saw what I did. I put the compound on, then I slid it in a little bit, then I sprayed. You may or may not be able to see that, but I actually sprayed WD-40 in the guide that direction so that there was lubrication on that stem. You don't want to do that dry. So I'm going to have to do this some more. There's no sense in you watching. You kind of got an idea. I may bring you back when it's done, but I have a funny feeling I'm going to have to do all the exhaust valves on this, which I'm having to wait for those lifter retaining guide, whatever the heck they are anyway. So this, I tried drilling that bowl hole out on here, and there's a problem, the broken exhaust bolt. I ran into this before, same bolt, as a matter of fact, on my Malibu, that 76, it's got the 5.3 in it. This one, once it gets off a little bit and gets into the aluminum and you don't get all that bolt out, and this one would not come out. I had it all but out and I could not get it to turn. So it was really a fight. But now if I try to drill it to possibly do it oversize, it's just going to follow the aluminum. It's just going to continue to move up instead of down if you still got that steel in there. So it's just going to have to be without a bolt in it. I could possibly beat something in submission there, JB welded or epoxy it in, but with the temperature swings on that, it's just not it's not worth it. I've had these before. My pickup, that white HD, has had a broken two. I think it's got 2 studs in it since I bought it in 2012, and it doesn't leak and it's got 150,000 miles on it now, and it still doesn't leak. So it's kind of the nature of the beast on these. It has one broke on both sides. Like I said, it's real common on these. If you're lucky, which I've had happen before, it breaks at the head and leaves a stud out. Once you pull the manifold off, I've got a pretty good wrap with a hammer and then welded a nut on it. And I've had really good luck with that, with them coming out, especially once you heat them up. This one and the other one, they're flush broke. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna get back on these valves. So, like I said, this isn't the 100% accurate right way to do stuff, but and these may be bad enough I may have to take them down. Like I said, it looks like I'm gonna have a few days anyway, so we'll just kind of play it by ear. Right now the intake valve already has a new valve seal in it. What I may have to do is take that back out and put so that way he's got a full set, you know, of new both directions, and I may have another set of them anyway, but you know, that way we're not because he'll have to do them all. He's just not going to do the exhaust. He'll do both sides, you know. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here.